Tonight, we're digging into the threats targeting districts all across the state. Minco Public Schools is assuring the community it is safe and secure after several threats were made against that district this week.
According to the superintendent, those threats came from someone living in another country. Fox 25's David Chazanoff joins us live after speaking with parents. David, tell us, how are they feeling?
They're scared, Adam and Wendy. Some parents even thought twice about taking their kids back to school today.
Everybody was pretty scared about it, angry. Like, who would want to, mess with our little school?
After facing several threats this week, Minco Public Schools announced Wednesday that it's coming from someone who lives in a different country.
Excuse my language, but I'm pissed off. How dare somebody go after our children, go after our school.
Superintendent Kevin Sims says the district knows that someone made a TikTok page called Minco Terrorists, which is telling people to get ready for Friday's football game and school.
Please talk to your children. Do not let them respond to this butthead. I received a message myself of threat, just to be honest with you.
According to Sims, Minco also received a bomb threat over the phone for Tuesday, September 17th. MPS responded by deciding not to have school and calling the Oklahoma Highway Patrol bomb squad to check their buildings. They did not find any explosive devices.
When you get a threat about your school and about your kids, you don't take it as bogus. You treat it seriously, which we did.
Sims says another threat came in Monday morning from the same number that made the bomb threat.
We're going to find this person.
Sims says Minco will continue to have a law enforcement presence throughout the week. Reporting live in Minco, David Chazanoff, Fox 25 News.
Now, Minco not the only school district that's been the target of online threats. Oklahoma City Schools put out a notice to parents last week saying they are aware of threats against several schools. Now, the district said police have been clear there was no evidence those were credible. Broken Arrow police announced on Friday it was not able to substantiate any credible threats made against the schools there. While Rico Public Schools down in Jefferson County, they received two separate threats. One was made last Friday, the other on Sunday. Neither were found to be credible. Memorial High School in Tulsa also received a threat Sunday night, and yesterday, both Moore and Southmore at the center of threats made on social media. Now, according to police, the post targeting Moore High School, referred to as MPS, which they say likely caused it to circulate in other districts with the same initials as well, while the other threat specifically mentioned Southmore. Moore police said both were deemed not credible.
Claremore police are investigating three separate threats made 3 days in a row last week. Messages were sent to parents addressing the issue. On the 10th, a staff member at Claremore High School received a report of a possible threat, but police determined it was not viable. On the 11th, the district official says a verbal threat was made on a Will Rogers Junior High bus. Once it was reported, the building was put in secure in place. Police also determined that threat was not credible. And on the 12th, a student reported seeing a photo on Snapchat showing a weapon in a red backpack in a red locker in what was believed to be the 6th grade hall at the junior high school. Police searched all lockers and backpacks that fit the description. Claremore police say they take all threats seriously and they're working closely with the school district to ensure students and staff are safe. Now, in light of all these ongoing threats, the Osage County Sheriff's Office is reminding parents to stay safe and vigilant. Officials say their law enforcement team, along with agencies across the country, are investigating these threats made on Snapchat and TikTok and have found no credible evidence supporting them. They're also asking you to remind children about the serious repercussions of spreading false information and how to respond to such threats.
State Superintendent Ryan Walters addressing the ongoing threats today. Here's what he said.
We're working with law enforcement across the country and your local districts to ensure that all safety precautions are taken and that we are going to hold those individuals who called in these threats accountable. We will not tolerate threats towards our schools and our kids here in the state of Oklahoma. For anyone who's called in a threat to the school, we will work to ensure that you are prosecuted with the fullest extent of the law.
Walters also says they'll continue to ensure that all schools have the resources necessary to protect all students, and staff will continue to make sure parents are informed when issues arise on campus.
With threats targeting Oklahoma schools surfacing online, you can help law enforcement by reporting them through the Protect OK app.
Fox 25's Grant Palmer walks us through how it works.
So we don't want widespread panic over something, that get it to us. we'll get it to the proper authorities and it can be properly investigated.
That's the Department of Public Safety's message to the public when it comes to seeing threats directed towards schools or elsewhere in the Sooner State. Stewart says the app is a useful tool as Oklahoma schools have become the target of recent threats, like Minco Public Schools and Moore Public Schools. Stewart says the app is the embodiment of if you see something, say something.
But if it's just something suspicious that you're seeing, sometimes people don't know where to go or who to tell. So this app is a very easy way that you know it is going to get to the correct people.
Those correct people Stewart mentioned are working behind the scenes, verifying whether or not the reported threats are credible. Most of the threats made recently have not been. Stewart says credible or not, it's much better to report threats to the app than posting them on social media.
And if they do that through this app, then that gives us that opportunity to do that. And they're not potentially spreading information that's not credible, because a lot of these threats have been found to have originated from out of state and to not be credible.
Reporting for Fox 25 News, I'm Grant Palmer.
While the department can't specify which cases, we're told there have been credible threats that could have potentially been dangerous. But because they were reported through this app, law enforcement was able to step in.
Even prior to these threats, all school districts were being required to invest in safety and security. This is after the state legislature passed Alyssas Law, named for a Parkland school shooting victim earlier this year. The law also requires schools to provide emergency responders with building blueprints and access to security cameras in case an emergency happens. Oklahoma City Public Schools has another security measure, more than 5,000 cameras across the district.
We use those camera systems and all the technology to help us predict and prevent crime, to identify locked doors, and to help notify us if there's a danger that exists that other people may not be aware of.
The new law also requires schools to install an emergency panic button, either in classrooms or through an app. However, districts were already required to have the Rave Panic Button, which is an app to reduce response times in the event of an emergency. That was your big story breakdown. You can learn more about the recent threats and where the investigations stand on OKCFox.com.